So good morning. What I'm going to talk to you about is some work that HTNG, that's Hospitality Technology Next Generation, if you don't know who they are. It's an organisation that's been running for 15 years now, 16 years I think, founded back in 2003, and I've been on their board or an advisor to their board since 2004. Whether you're on the board is determined by whether you're working for a hotel group or not, because the board are entirely hoteliers. They're all kind of vice president, director, C-level individuals. Originally all technology, but more recently some from kind of revenue and marketing, but predominantly still technology. And they've also recently merged into the American Hospitality Lodging Association, which is very large, has lots of money, which HTNG never did. But it's retaining the name HTNG, so that's actually not changing. And it will continue to have the technology focus, which AHLA wanted to have, and it will continue to look to have an international presence as well. So in theory, things are going to get much better for HTNG going forward, is the plan. When COVID hit, they started what they called this Operations Revitalization initiative, and literally tens of hoteliers, tens of vendors, and quite a number of consultants were meeting probably once or twice a week at one point to just think about how to address COVID such that hotels could get themselves into a good position to reopen safely. So that was really what the initiative was all about. And literally, I think probably thousands of man-hours of effort actually went into this. So it was all about creating that environment that would keep both guests and staff safe, both in terms of practical measures, but also actually creating an environment of confidence for both the guest and for staff. And if you really crystallized it down into a few things that it focused on, it was about avoiding contact with surfaces, minimizing contact between guests themselves, and also between guests and staff, because obviously that was one of the huge drivers to try and stop the spread of COVID. And also it was reducing contact between staff where that was possible, because clearly if one member of a team ended up with COVID, you ended up isolating an entire team, which was a huge challenge, and is still has still been a huge challenge where people aren't double vaccinated in this country, for instance. So it was all about facilitating new ways of operating safely and about leveraging technology that already existed, and where there were gaps, identifying those gaps and thinking about what needs to be developed to fill them. So it looked at the entire guest journey, and then it took that guest journey and it basically identified where the critical areas were. So clearly the interaction with the guest, primarily when they arrived at the hotel until they left the hotel, was the area that was given the most focus at the beginning, and probably is still the one where there is the most output in terms of what the group looked at. So if you take the kind of pre-arrival component of that, it looked at the marketing side of things, so the communication to guests to perhaps get them interested. It thought then about the whole look and consider, where will I actually stay situation, and then guest booking through to pre-arrival communications. So are there any safety considerations guests should know about? You know, where's the location? When do you think you're arriving? Do you have any special requests? Those sort of things are all in part of that pre-arrival communication. And then finally, the mobile check-in part itself. So that was the kind of pre-arrival components. And then in terms of the guest stay, it focused on things like check-in, use of elevators, access to rooms, the collateral that was lying around the hotel, potentially removing all of that and so on. The food and beverage ordering, service requests. So it was quite a comprehensive and interesting thing. To be honest, I was involved in several of these groups, and we literally ended up meeting twice a week at times, and there was quite a lot of pressure to produce some output for it. It is available. You can find it on the HTNG website if you want to go and explore it. But what I've done then is to take from some of that output in those high priority areas just a few of the things that they identified. So one was kind of handling booking and special requests. And so they would come up with an idea or an area that needed attention, then they'd think about a mitigating solution, and then they'd look and see, are there technologies that exist to do that, or do we need to do new things? So the thought on terms of booking and special requests was to embed booking within an app, and then have mobile registration and chat for any enhancement of that, if you like. And what I've done is to show whether Nonius has a solution to that, and then whether we've actually implemented it as C containers. So Nonius does have solutions around those sort of areas in terms of booking. Most hotel groups actually embed their existing booking platforms within the app. So it basically is embedding an HTML5 solution within the app, although native development would be a possibility as well. Minimizing the time in the lobby, queuing for or at reception for check-in. So that was the introduction of mobile check-in. And that's possible through a pre-registration process with Nonius, where you can capture email addresses and things like that as well. Then removing printed collateral from the guest room has been quite a common theme because it's an obvious touch point, and it's difficult cleaning paper and stuff between stays. So that all went into the app, and that's in the Nonius guest app. It's quite comprehensive here. The slide that was up at the very beginning saying welcome, and the one that will be up at the break, there's a QR code on there, and if you scan it, that lets you download the C Containers app. So you can actually see that sort of stuff for real, that it does exist. Handling of plastic room keys was another one that it was suggested should be eliminated. So that's the introduction of mobile key, which is embedded in the app, and in this hotel that's working with the ASA Abloy locks. Handling the guest room phone, so that's another point of contact. So the idea was, well, can we have a soft phone within the app, then the guest doesn't have to touch the phone anymore. And that's within the Nonius app, integrated with Nonius Voice here. Handling the TV remote control was another one that was identified. So can we remove the physical remote control? And in the Nonius app, there is a remote control that allows Nonius TV to be controlled. Handling room controls and switches, curtain control, all that kind of stuff. So that is possible as well within the Nonius app. That's not something that's implemented here because the initial conversations with the company that provides the room management solution here indicated that the integration wasn't possible. It's not something we've given up on. We're going to go back and talk to them again because we don't quite understand why they think it's not possible. But anyway, that is one that Interrail will talk about, and they'll talk about a joint project that's being done at Chateau Denmark, where in fact that integration does exist with Interrail. Communication between guests and staff, so basically allowing messaging between staff, and that works kind of, once they're in-house, it can work pre-arrival as well. Nonius does have a chat feature, but it's within the app. What's integrated here is Alliance into the Nonius solution because that actually gives the ability to have chat on things like WeChat or WhatsApp or whatever, so it supports more platforms, if you like, in terms of chat. Support of in-room dining, so avoiding having the menus, the breakfast cards and everything in the room anymore. And that's available natively within the app, but YQ was already implemented in the hotel here. So the quick win was to actually embed YQ within the app because all of the other processes sitting behind it then remained unchanged. Minimizing time in the lobby, queuing for checkout. So providing basically view, bill and checkout is a feature I know that we're very familiar with when it comes to TVs. That's existed for many moons. But actually also putting that into the app, and that is available both on Nonius TV and Nonius app as a feature and is implemented here. And then maintaining a safe working environment, social distancing for staff. One of the real challenges with the pandemic was allowing a number of staff to work from home so that you reduce the number actually in the building and the risk of it spreading within teams. And having put Nonius Voice in, Paul wanted to have a Teams integration so that staff could work more easily from home and they could easily run central reservations and things from people's homes. So Nonius actually did a Teams integration with Nonius Voice. And so Microsoft 365 users here are actually linked in for VoIP features with Microsoft 365. So that's just a very quick overview of some of the key findings that came out of the HTNG work. There's lots of other exciting things if you do want to go and look at it that talks about staff canteens and using canteens and staff moving around the building and all sorts of things like that. But that's not particularly relevant in terms of us looking at the guest journey that we're going through today. But if you have any questions, do catch me later. Thank you.